Hello and welcome to the Combat Chatters podcast. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about the upcoming UFC 280 card. Should be a really good one. If you'd like to start us off in.
Yeah, so obviously we got a massive card this weekend. Some massive prelims. So we're not going to break down the prelims on this podcast, but what we will do is we'll touch on them on the breakdown of the fights afterwards. So yeah, so starting us off, we've got a big fight in the women's division. We have Caitlin Chookagian against Mariam Ferro. Obviously, flyweight fight is a pretty shallow division for contenders, but this fight's a big one for this division. And obviously, Ferro 9-1, a lot of finishes, very good karate style against Chookagian, who's kind of like a taekwondo point fighter, I want to say. It's like she uses kickboxing more, but sort of the side on, she likes to pick points with her leg kicks and jabs. I think this fight, it's a very good matchup in my opinion. I think their styles will do very well against each other. I don't know what you think about the fight.
I do agree. I do think it's a really good matchup. As you said, it's quite a shy division, so it's quite hard to put together watch-worthy fights at times. But especially in the contender sense. But I feel like this is a really good bout for both Caitlin and Marion. So with this bout, it's hard to predict really because I feel like the two styles they're fairly similar to an extent.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're gonna contrast each other quite nicely.
Yeah, I that's what I think too.
And I feel like with Marion, she's just very, very aggressive to start off with. She's a bit of a brute really.
Yeah.
She's very full on, she's very forward pushing. I feel like looking at Caitlin, I don't know if she'll be able to handle it early on. Not to say that she wouldn't be able to handle it overall, but within the get-go, she normally starts a bit slower.
Yeah.
And you can tell, it's kind of a matter of when you're trying to get the feel of it, get the feel of, what's working, how your striking's coming along. And I feel like that could potentially provide a challenge. Both very good in the clinch.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting. Got a lot of good clinch fighters in the female divisions. But yeah, so to call this one, it's quite hard to call. Any further thoughts on this?
Yeah, obviously, Caitlin for me she's obviously won our two fights, and to go on and fight Valentina Shevchenko in this division, you have to get through Caitlin Chookagian. We've seen everyone who gets that fight pretty much fights Caitlin at some point. Obviously, the last couple, Talia Santos, I don't know if they fought off the top of my head. I don't think they did, but Jessica Andrade before that, they fought. She finished Caitlin obviously with a body punch. But Caitlin, last two wins, Jennifer Maher, and obviously a big win against Amanda Ribas, a very close fight. But the matchup is very interesting for me because if Fario is as good as we think, I don't think she's been tested. Like, this is the first elite fighter in the flyweight division that she's come against. She's fought very good fighters, but this is the first one who's maybe like champion worthy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
So but if I was going to give a prediction, I think I would go Marion Ferrero just because I think she in the clinch I don't want to go off looks, but she's obviously a very physically imposing woman, and she's dominated a lot of people from those positions. And Caitlin's very good there too, but I don't know if she'll be able to deal with the strength and the distance management as well from Marion Ferrero is exceptional. She uses a lot of side kicks for the knees, and she's very bouncy on her feet. So yeah, I think for this one, I only go Marion Ferrero. I think it will be a decision. I think Caitlin will win a round. I think maybe the third round, but I mean, if Marion could finish Caitlin, then her versus Valentina will be a very exciting fight.
Do you think there could be a finish in the card at all? Maybe Fario?
I think if someone, obviously Caitlin doesn't really finish.
No.
But I think I think it's possible. Obviously, when she hits as hard as she does, and she's an elite striker, so obviously she could set something up if Kagan's been finished a couple of times before. So yeah, I don't write that off at all. But I think Caitlin, being at the level she is, and Ferrero kind of jumping up to fight someone like her, then I think Caitlin will be veteran enough. She's fought the best in the world so many times that, yeah, I think she'll be able to tough it out and have a competitive fight.
Yeah, so I have to agree. I feel like the decision going towards away Mario, very, very plausible. I feel like with this one, it's going to be a matter of Caitlyn getting into the groove of it, getting into the fight. But it's how she fights, and I feel like with Mario, her level of aggression, I think it's going to be harder than maybe in contrast to some other opponents to actually get into that, to get the breathing room to almost feel it out. I feel like as far as this fight is concerned, it's really quite hard to call. I think that it could potentially be a decision either way. I think it could be a finish on Mario's part. I really can't see that being possible. I mean, have you seen how she strikes? It's so powerful.
Yeah, she's so aggressive. You can see how much she puts in just by she like that Holly Holm style where she screams before every time to try getting on you. Yeah, so it really shows how aggressive she is in her striking, because having an outburst like that, it shows she's a powerful striker. She's looking for the kill at all times, really. Like, we've seen the way she's finished some of her opponents in her MMA career, and it is brutal.
I just think it's interesting, like, the way she throws, they're all big shots, but they're not particularly telegraphed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're very hard to, she doesn't load them up or anything. Then they're not the most easily viewable shots. It's not to say that, they're not predictable and you can't see it coming, but it's not as if she's winding up massive shots and you can see it coming, and it's not as if it's something which is going to be, really easy to evade. I feel like that's why it could potentially be a Mario finish. Although saying that, I feel like depending on how Caitlyn warms up to it, if it takes a round to warm up into it, it could go her way. You say she's fought many veterans.
Yeah.
The experience level there is just phenomenal, and if you have to go through her to fight Shevchenko, then the experience level is clearly going to be there, regardless. So I'm going to go with a Caitlyn decision.
I like that. I to be fair, I've always really liked Caitlyn Chookagian, so yeah. I mean, I definitely see a victory, a path to victory for her. Obviously, she'd beat a lot of good people, so for her, I mean, it's just another tough compare. That every fight now, she's got to fight the number one contender pretty much. So she's not in for any easy fight anytime soon. We've seen her lose these fights as well and straight away bounce back with wins over very good fighters. So even if she loses, Caitlyn's always going to be at the top of this division until we see an age decline or like a confidence decline. Like, Caitlyn's an elite fighter, and I don't think enough people give her credit for that.
No, definitely not. A veteran of the game herself.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, one of three ways this fight could go. Hard to pick which one, but I'm going to go Caitlyn decision, because I feel like warming up into it.
Yeah, I feel like if Caitlyn wins, it'll be like the Bree-Bass fight, a very close decision where she just outpoints her. Like, she's so effective with just landing little shots constantly. And if she doesn't get hit, if Thoreau can't fight, if she gets frustrated and can't find the chin often enough, we've seen a lot of fighters lose against Chookagian because of that reason.
It's going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah, I'm this whole main card I'm so excited for. Like, I was thinking in my head to move on, I'm going to say, so moving on to the next fight is where the card gets really exciting, but it just starts off exciting. Like, there's no point in saying that. So, yeah, getting into the next fight is a huge fight in this lightweight division. I'm so excited to see it. To be honest, we have Benel Dariush versus Gamrot. So, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
So this is a really interesting one. I feel like Gamrot, looking at his performances, it's almost like he gets better and better every single fight he has. His last fight between Takurian, it was Gamrot who won, wasn't it? Yeah, which was interesting. Could have gone either way, to be fair. I mean, you could argue robbery, but I feel like the two of them just showed amazing skill, amazing versatility, and both of which could potentially be future contenders. Dariush, he's an interesting guy. He's quite versatile, and he does almost, I don't want to say the basics well, but his fundamentals, he's just so good at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His stand-up's generally very solid. He's decent on the ground. He's generally just a very good all-round fighter. And with Gamrot, I feel like he's very much new generation. I mean, how old is he? 25?
Yes, I'll get out there.
I think he's quite young. I could be getting them mixed up though.
Yeah, I mean,
he could be 30.
Yeah, he's 30.
Yeah, I'm Takarian.
He's not old enough, man.
I think he's Takarian. I'm not. Is that how you say his name? I should know because we've done one of them. Takarian. But anyway, different fight. But yeah, no, looking at Gamrot, he's 30 years of age. He is very much new generation. He's so versatile.
Yeah.
And what I like about Gamrot is that looking at him, it's like he does everything really well.
It's insane.
It is just every single weapon he has, whether it's on the feet, whether it's on the ground, his grappling, his wrestling, his stand up, his kicks, his strikes, they're all just next level. And they're the ability he has, you could definitely look to see him as a contender in the future, if not a future champion.
Definitely.
Without a doubt, only 30 years of age, not 25, 30 years of age. There's so much potential for him to grow. Dariush, he's very good. He's very good,
isn't he? Like, he just wins. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like it's going to be very challenging for him because although he does the fundamentals well, I don't know if he'll be able to handle Gamrot. I mean, he might be fine, but looking at how Gamrot did in his last bout out, I mean, I feel like Gamrot is really, really dangerous at the moment. And I feel like after this fight, we've got to be looking higher. I mean, bear in mind, Dariush, he's quite high in ranking, isn't he?
I think he's 6 or 5. So.
6 or 5, so he's done really well,
I mean, he was meant to be fighting Islam Makhachev, but that was meant, and then Islam is getting the title shot instead, but that was meant to be the matchup the whole time.
Well, yeah, exactly, and it says it all really. I mean, you can't underestimate him. He's not necessarily the most, interesting fighter to watch as far as, just sheer excitement. But overall, he's just really good at the fundamentals, and he is just very much, as you said, very game.
Do you know what I like about Dariush as well? Is as he's risen the rankings, he started off as a very grappling heavy fighter, and then you look at his fights with Dakar Close and Scott Holtzman, where he gets a spinning back fist knockout, and obviously he grappled Dakar in the first round, but tired himself out, gets hurt, and he's going up against the cage, and he just starts slugging with him, and then knocks him out a few seconds later. And obviously the Tony fight wasn't the best, but at the end of the day, fighting Tony Ferguson at that point, he wasn't fully out his prime yet. You've just got to win, and to beat Tony, massive win for him. Obviously, he's on an amazing run. I think he's a 5 or 6 fight win streak now. So yeah, this fight is extremely close. I mean, I see personally that I think Gamrot is, I don't know, because in the striking, Dariush hits very hard. He can be a bit slow at times, but Gamrot showed to be defensively sound against Tyukin because Tyukin blast kicks all day long and he managed to deal with them. But you don't want to be getting hit by Dariush. And I think on the feet, this is a close matchup. And Dariush's jiu-jitsu is insane. I think I may even have to give him the jiu-jitsu edge in this matchup. I mean, it's very close, but Dariush, he's obviously rid the back of Dakar Close, dominated Tony on the ground. It's a very close fight. I'm so split between this one.
So with this one, it's good. It's an interesting point to make about his jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu is so good, but I feel like if Gamrot is anything like he is with his development and his continuous improvement, he did so much better against Takurim than I thought he was going to. Honestly, I thought he was kind of gonna get smoked. If I'm honest. But his jiu-jitsu was so much better than I thought it was. His wrestling was insane.
Those transitions between them two, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, to be honest. Yeah. I actually don't.
And that's the thing, like, I mean, looking at his wrestling and how effective it was, I definitely underestimated him. I don't know if I would have said it at the time, but I was very, underestimating of him. I did not believe that he was going to be able to defend against what he did.
And for 5 rounds to go at that pace.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And the shooting as well, Takurin, you watch him shoot, you don't watch him shoot, he just does it.
I mean, he grappled Arman better than Islam Makhachev did, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a 5-round fight, and that did have a big factor to playing it. But Gamrot, in the end, he won the fight because he completely out-grappled Arman.
Yeah, and that's the thing. His grappling ability is not something to sniff at, I mean? It's really quite, impressive. I feel like the grappling edge is going to be, I feel like Gamrot may have it. It could be the other way around. It could very much.
He's a better wrestler, I think.
It's going to be up to the night. It's all going to be on the night.
It's going to be so. To be fair, I think I'm more split on this one more than the main event, to be honest.
Oh really?
Yeah, I actually just. I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling to pick a winner for this one. In your head, do you have someone that you're leaning towards?
I do, yes.
Yeah, I think I do as well. I think we're going to pick the same. Obviously, a 3-round fight. I'm going to go Gamrot by decision.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we were thinking the same then.
Yeah. But, Dariush is a dog, man. I'm so excited for this fight.
I feel like this is one of those things, though, you could easily underestimate either of them.
Yeah. I think people have been underestimating Dariush's whole career.
Yeah.
And he just keeps... Obviously, he's had a few bad losses. Well, a couple bad losses. But you can't say anything about him now. He is one of the best lightweights in the world, and in my opinion, lightweight is the best division in the UFC.
You've got to think he's top 6.
Yeah.
Top 6 in
one of the top 5 as well.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, one of the best divisions in the UFC, you're spot on with that. It is one of the best. It's definitely in the top 2, top 3.
Would you say it's the best? I think it's the best.
I don't know, you see, because welterweight's fairly strong.
Welterweight is strong, but it's stronger now Usman lost. Because I think you look at middleweight's a strong division.
Yeah, it is very much so.
But I'm not interested in it just because Israel Adesanya's champion, and I can't. Obviously, his next fight's very interesting, but if he gets through Pereira, no middleweight's beating him for ages.
Well, that's the thing, though. These divisions do become very boring.
Yeah. When
there is just one person, and you said about welterweight looking better now that Udin's no longer champ. You're spot on.
I can't wait for that rematch. I'm going Edwards again. I actually am.
You see, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also not.
Yeah.
Because
it's going to be in England. We're going to try to get tickets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are. We should. It's very hard in England, but they're talking about a stadium, so maybe tickets will be more accessible.
Yeah, to be fair, Wembley.
Yeah.
Big stadium.
Lots of I don't think it will be. Maybe like Birmingham City Stadium.
That would be sick, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Or it's like a big stadium around there.
But around Birmingham way?
Yeah.
I probably.
No, just do Old Trafford or something. That'd be crazy.
I mean, that's in Manchester, but
it's not that close. But I mean, like, there'd be a lot of the hometown people who can travel over from Birmingham.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, it's not too bad. It's only probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, though, if Leon Edwards lost, though, in Birmingham, I
think the fight will be a lot closer this time, even though Leon won, obviously. I don't know why we've gone into breaking down this fight.
It's interesting to think Leon Edwards is the only person to ever take down Usman.
Yeah.
It's just that's mad, isn't it, really? Like, even if you look at it like Usman was fairly dominant over the first 4 rounds. He's still the only person to ever take down Usman. I mean, he did a lot better than, it's just, when you fight Usman, it looks a certain way because of how Usman fights.
The altitude, obviously, I think we spoke about this anyway, but...
Yeah, of course.
So, anyway, getting back onto this fight. So, we're both going Gamrot. Lightweights, best division in the UFC, in my opinion, and Dariush, if he can get this win, I mean, what you've got to give him, like a Justin Gaethje or Justin Gaethje, maybe even like a Conor McGregor fight or something. I think he mauls Conor McGregor.
Yeah, no, that's I don't think that's a good
they won't do that.
I don't want to see that.
No.
I mean, although it might make sense.
I think a lot of people would want to see that though. Just to see Conor get his head squeezed off again.
I don't know. It gets boring after a while, doesn't it? Really,
I mean, Conor's got to have some fun fights when he comes back.
What about Michael Chandler?
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I also think Volkanovski's getting the next title shot. He's gonna move up and fight. Well, actually, talking about that, he's the backup fighter for this, for the main event as well. So if Lamb or Charles can't fight, Volkanovski will step in. How do you think Volk would do at lightweight?
I don't know.
That's the thing. It's like for me, I just don't know. He's pound for pound number 1 in the world, so he could just go up and win the belt still.
He could, or he could fight Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, I think Islam's a bad matchup. I think Charles is a banger fight.
It could be, but that could also be a bad matchup.
Yeah,
although it could be a really good one.
Yeah, I think the fight would just be fireworks. I don't think any of them would just steam. To be honest, I think a lot of people hoping Makhachev breaks a toe or something training, but just before. So I've been seeing so many people wanting this Oliveira Volkanovski matchup. It's crazy.
Who comes out on top though?
I think the fight's going to happen. So I'm not saying right now. I think we need to talk about, because I think that's the biggest fight you can make right now is Volk and Oliveira. Like, not numbers wise, but for us proper hardcore fans, that's such a huge fight. Like, the stylistic matchup is crazy in that one. I honestly think that would be one of the best fights ever.
I think it's though with Volk. It makes sense, but I don't know if I want to see it too much because
I want to see him just dominate at featherweight. I'd love to see him just go, because obviously Aldo retiring. I think Aldo's the best of all time at featherweight, one of the best of all time in MMA as well.
Yeah.
I think if he gets 7 title defenses now, I think he could as well. I don't see anyone at featherweight beating him.
What, Volk? No, not at all.
Not a chance.
He's literally, it's one of those things, Max Holloway maybe perhaps once had a chance.
Yeah, not anymore.
No, and there is just nobody else.
Yeah, Rodriguez would be fun, but it would get bad in the later rounds.
It would be fun, that'd be about it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be anything more than fun. With Volk, his technical ability, he gets better and better, and he just got everything about him just looks perfect.
I don't think I've ever seen him tired in a fight either.
No.
And look at that Ortega fight. How he was still just running for Ortega in the last round like he was crazy.
Honestly, it's insane. Just his last fight against Holloway. If he could do that, and I know it might be different against Oliveira, but I feel like Volk would just, unless he gets taken to the ground, perhaps, which I don't know if it would, because Volk's takedown defense is amazing.
Yeah, and he's a big dude as well. Like, not the height wise at all, but like strength wise, you can see like it'd be a nightmare trying to manhandle him.
Rugby player at featherweight.
Yeah.
But
250-pound featherweight.
No, not quite. I don't feel like that's as fair a comparison people like to.
No, he's obviously a lot smaller now.
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah. I feel like unless Olivier is going to take him to the ground, he gets beat up on the feet. Because although people do severely underrate Olivier striking,
I still think the kicks would be a huge problem for Volk.
I reckon he'd handle it fine.
Volk's just so good. I think I've said it many times and it sounds crazy. I think Volk's the obviously I've been saying for ages he's the best fighter in the UFC, but I kind of want to say he's the best like technical fighter I've ever watched. It's great. I need to see more of his career. Obviously, I'm recency biased is a big thing in MMA, but like him, Anderson Silva, Izzy, for me, like technical brilliance. Like there's no, like even with Volk, you can there's ways to beat Izzy and Anderson. Like we saw Anderson get mauled by Chael Sonnen, even though Chael still lost that fight. But Volk's never ever been taken down and dominated there, never been outstruck. Like no one, he's fought Aldo, Chad Mendes, Max Holloway 3 times. It's crazy to think how good Volkanovski is. I think even now he's underrated and he's number 1 pound for pound, so.
Imagine being underrated at pound.
Yeah,
number 1. Anyway, a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, we like to waffle on a bit, but we'll go back to the card. Obviously, we just broke down the Beneil Dariush and Gamrot fight. Moving on to the next one it's a massive fight for both fighters, really. Obviously, Sean O'Malley, the biggest step up maybe ever, just jumping from competition and fighting Peter Yan, man. This is a matchup and a half.
Peter, no mercy, Yan.
Yeah, I think O'Malley does better than people think, but I don't know. I think Peter Yan's just so good. What are your thoughts on the fight?
You see, when I first heard about this fight, I was thinking Peter Yan's gonna smoke him. I don't feel like it's gonna be as easy or as uneven as people think. I really don't.
Me either. I think it's gonna be a competitive fight.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think Sean O'Malley's necessarily what some people make him out to be. But he's just so good, so powerful, so strong. If he goes in active, and if he utilizes his range well, if he utilizes his awkward, weird kind of striking from range style, he could do well. You look at Peter Yan, he's brutal, he's ruthless, but a lot of the time he's doing it from the inside. You know what I mean? From when you're in close to him, and with if you look at Sean O'Malley, something he's really good at is striking from a range very quickly, very powerfully, very unpredictably, which I don't know if Peter Yan would necessarily be able to cope with too much. You look at a lot of Peter Yan, he lands some massive powerful strikes, and he will maul you if you get onto the ground. But as far as Sean O'Malley is concerned, I mean, if he's able to utilize his range, his movement, if he's able to make sure that he's in the position where he's not directly within centimeters of him, or within good range of him, then I think O'Malley could definitely cause some damage. Saying that, it's Peter Yan,
Yeah.
so he could also just maul him, bombard him with strikes, go toward him.
Do you know the sort of mindset I have when the matchup got made? I was very much like you, as in the sense that I thought, oh my god, like what are they doing to Sean O'Malley here? But Dana's a smart guy, and he would not put Sean O'Malley against the guy that would smash him right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the fighters get to choose who gets smashed, but they're very smart matchmakers. And the interesting thing is, Sean O'Malley cannot afford to have a first round like he did against Pedro Muniz.
No.
Like, if he has a first round like that, I give him like a 8% chance of winning. Like, that low.
Without doubt.
So he needs to come out and he needs to piece Peter Yan up with jabs, front kicks in that first round. Obviously, he's not going to be expected to hit him hard and big and have his big moment in that first round. But if he can clearly win the first round, just because, I mean, I don't know if Peter Yan's going to start slow in this one, because obviously he knows. But then I thought that against the Aljo fight, like you starting slow against Aljo, give up a couple rounds, he just needs to get one takedown. Like, the smart game plan would have been to come out 100 miles an hour. So it's a hard matchup for me. Like, I'm thinking in my head, that running through my head right now is, do I make like a really bold prediction and go Sean O'Malley? But Peter Yan's just, if he can really get into his groove, I don't think Sean O'Malley can beat him if Peter Yan starts 100% in the first round.
So with this Peter Yan, he's ruthless everywhere. He's his ground and pound is savage.
Yeah.
Like he's just mauling on the floor. Sean O'Malley, I mean, will we get to see some of the jiu-jitsu if he does potentially get dropped?
It's been spoke about for a while, hasn't it? It's jiu-jitsu.
Because that would be really interesting if Peter's on top of them. I feel like that could potentially impact the way of the fight. Seeing them them two potentially grapple, because
I'd love to see Sean's jiu-jitsu, because he's gone in and won jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff at purple belt level. I think that's right. So he's obviously good at jiu-jitsu.
So yeah, and that's the thing. Like I feel like that could potentially sway it if it does come down to it. The likelihood of it is, I'm not too sure. I think it's all a matter of how active Sean O'Malley is and how active Peter Yan is. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah, I agree.
The pace they put on, that's all it's going to be a matter of. If Peter Yan starts fast and hard, then he could potentially maul him. Saying that if they start slow and Sean O'Malley's able to find his range and find his striking range, then I think it could go potentially the way of Sean O'Malley. I don't think this is going to be a easy fight, although saying that, if it's anything like Munoz, then
I've got two questions before we give our predictions. So the first one is, do you think Sean O'Malley can finish Peter Yan?
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. Can he? Like, does he have the potential?
Obviously, he can. But
yeah. Okay.
Like, what's the chances of him going out and just being better and finishing Peter Yan?
If I'm honest with you, I'm going to go with no. And the reason why is I feel like for him to do that, Peter Yan's just
not as good as we think, maybe.
Nah, not even that. I just feel like Peter Yan would be able to. I feel like the moment he gets to that stage, or when Sean gets into a position where he's able to do that, Peter Yan's firing. And I can't.
With a takedown, do you mean? Or?
With a takedown with strikes, he's just going for it at that point. At that point, he's going merciless.
Yeah, I think obviously Sean can finish Peter Yan. I think Sean is capable of finishing any bantamweight on the planet with his on it, like, such flashy striking. Like, you want to talk about entertaining fighters, you cannot like Sean O'Malley, but watching him fight is like, it's mesmerising, really. Like, the way he sets up his spinning kicks and how powerful he is for that division. He's obviously so long and went on a big strength and conditioning program. So yeah, I think he could, but I agree with you, I don't think he will. So the next question is, obviously, this one I just want to know your actual opinion on. I think if this fight's a 5-round fight, there's only one winner. Do you think the only reason we give Sean a chance is because it's in a 3-round fight? Or do you think Sean even has a chance in 5 rounds against Peter Yan? Obviously, he has a chance, but I mean, like,
Honestly, very unlikely. The odds would change significantly.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that is plausible, but it's just very unlikely.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
This is just going to show how good Sean is. Because even if he loses a very competitive fight, it probably builds his stock. Like he's gone from not fighting any proper ranked fighters from fighting number one in the world, number one contender in the world. So
Yeah.
this one's a big fight for Sean O'Malley.
No, of course, of course.
So yeah, let's just give a prediction now then.
So I'm gonna go Peter Yan. I'm gonna go. It could go like 4 ways, 4 or 5 ways. Well, 4 ways maybe, not 5. I'm gonna go with Peter Yan second round knockout. I mean, I just
really,
yeah. I mean, it's a bit
so
of a obscure one.
It's not close then.
Well, I don't know though. I think it's gonna be challenging, and I think it's gonna get pieced up. But I feel like Peter Yan is just gonna be merciless.
I'm going to go with a Peter Yan decision. I think Sean's smart enough and quick enough that when Peter Yan really does turn the onslaught on in those sort of late second and the whole of the third round, I think he'll have him in serious trouble, but I think that he'll be able to push through and survive. And Sean's footwork is excellent. His head movement is very good. We've never really seen him in trouble on the feet.
Yeah.
He's fought Chito Vera, so you can say he hasn't fought anyone, but Chito Vera was a very good fighter when they fought. He's a bit more aggressive now. He's smarter, but yeah, fighting Chito Vera, and obviously the fight ended in a way we didn't want it to, but
No, of course.
But yeah, he's fought good guys before.
Definitely, very much so, very much so. Yeah, I feel like it felt like it's not going to be easy, and if it is going to be, I think if it's going to be finished, it's going to be late second round. But I just think that Peter Yan, I think it's going to be a bit too much for him. I don't think it's going to be too much in the sense that Sean O'Malley's not going to do anything at all. I think Sean O'Malley, he's going to have to be a lot more active than he was last time.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if not, it's not in the second round.
Yeah, but I think that it's going to be interesting because I think we've seen Peter Yan hit hard, obviously with the Dodson fight and Rivera fight, but Sean's gonna hit him with something big at some point, no question in my mind. And it's gonna be very interesting to see how he deals with that.
I feel like he's gonna land quite a few big shots.
Yeah, I think unless he just comes out slow like he did last time, which he's never done before. Obviously, the first guy, elite ranked fighter, Chito wasn't ranked at the time that he was fighting in Pedro Munoz. So starting slow like that against Pedro Munoz, maybe he was a bit worried about what a guy at that level could do to him. So if that's the same in this fight, it's very interesting because he'll know he has to come out active and he's going to come out and put on a show.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind that he'll come out and look to finish Peter Yan. So it's going to be a banger fight, that one. Honestly, probably fight of the night for me, in my opinion.
I mean, to an extent, that's kind of the only way you can. Not the only way, but that's probably one of the biggest ways you can do it.
Him clean and off.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't feel like it could go as well at all, really.
In a weird way, it's a bit like a Max Holloway style fight where if you let Max kind of dictate the range and really get into his rhythm, then you're going to get beaten up badly. But if you can hit him hard and often and keep him off you, like Dustin Poirier did against Holloway, and Aljo, he did it in a different sense where he'd hit him with a big body kick and then shoot on a double leg straight afterwards. Like, he broke that rhythm up constantly, and that's what you have. Corey Sandhagen tried to do it, but he's not a power puncher.
Yeah.
He went strike for strike with Peter Yan and lost, but a very competitive fight.
Of course.
So yeah, this one, very interesting matchup. I think Sean O'Malley can win. I actually do, but I don't. I'm obviously going with Peter Yan, but I will not be surprised if Sean wins. So yeah, do you agree with that? Do you think would it be one of those moments like the Nunes Pina fight or the Leon Usman fight?
No. It wouldn't not be anywhere near that.
No, definitely not.
But you couldn't. I feel like a fight like this, you couldn't even make that argument. I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel
like people are though online. Obviously, the online MMA community is a bit of a cesspit, but people are saying there's a 0% chance for Sean O'Malley, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, my dad did have to disagree with that one.
Yeah. So getting on to the next fight, our massive fight for this bantamweight division. Straight away I'm gonna go in and say if TJ wins, even with the steroid abuse, do you think he's the best bantamweight of all time?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just got to be.
I mean, there are so many fighters who have taken steroids, and I feel like I might have said last time no. I feel like I've been asked the question before.
I might have asked this question.
Yeah. But you know, if you really look into the amount of, you know, top UFC fighters who have had steroid allegations and who have been proven to have taken steroids, and yet they're still considered the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And if you look into it, I mean, he said that he didn't really know what it was, or he said that he knew it was wrong, or I can't remember what it was. It was a weird kind of, you know, answer.
He's open about it, but at the same time he tries to kind of cover up with certain aspects of how he did it.
Thing is though, like, even if you look at it, there were a lot of fights he had when he wasn't on EPO.
Yeah, I mean, they went back and people don't know they went back and tested his Garber samples clean.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long EPO will stay in a jar of pee, but I mean, if they're going back and testing it, then it's probably going to be in there.
With your side, you'd find it. Yeah. You just would find it. So and I know that it wasn't a super long period. Like it was a good chunk of his. It was a considerable amount of time he was taking it, but it wasn't so much as in like he took it for 10 years or anything.
Well, no, the only fight he got done for was the Henry Cejudo one.
Yeah, literally.
So like, obviously the build up was big for that fight. He was probably on it a good year or so, but.
Yeah, I think with 2 years. I could be wrong, but I feel like from what I've read about it, it was 2 years or so. So,
but that would have been the Garber fight. Yeah, and they tested that. So.
And that's the thing though. Like, I mean, 2 years. If you look at what he'd accomplished outside of those 2 years before, you can't really argue it too much. Obviously, you know, it gave him that massive boost.
And obviously, in my opinion, you look at the actual greatest of all time. You take steroids out of it, in my opinion, but. I mean, all the media consider who the greatest of all time, John Jones.
Yeah,
and I mean, he's been done like 3 times for steroids.
Well, yeah, exactly. And there's something interesting about. You told me about John Jones as well. It's his family.
Yeah, like that. I think his brother got done in the NFL, or the NFL is American football, isn't it? Like, nothing about American sport.
National Football League. Yeah.
Yeah, all his brothers huge. I think there might be like Usman's brother is a pharmacist, which is interesting, like a really top level pharmacist. But yeah, Jones's brothers have had problems for it before.
Okay, so yeah, but that's a good point you make about with John Jones. Somebody who has been proven to have taken steroids.
The only difference is he denies it, and TJ doesn't. That's literally the only difference.
Yeah, to be fair, you know, I mean, you might just be open about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, TJ. You still see a lot of people supporting him. Like, although he's very hated now, like, you still see people wanting him to win this fight. So.
Yeah. Oh, definitely so. I mean, he's got quite a long career as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a veteran. And the Barrow performances, like, he was meant to get smashed in those fights.
I mean, he was on tough with John Dodson.
Yeah, was Michael Bisping his coach? Was it? Yeah, it was, I think.
Okay, yeah. Was that America versus Britain?
Yeah, I think so.
Or something. I can't remember exactly.
I remember Bisping and Dillashaw there together, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of them. There were a lot of big fights on that. So a lot of big fighters came up. Yeah, and that was a very long time ago. To think, you know, John Dodson's like 40 years of age now.
Yeah.
I think, you know, they were coming up together. So he is definitely a vet of it.
He got knocked out by John Dodson as well, didn't he? In the final, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. To be fair with John Dodson,
he was a beast.
Yeah, and one of them.
He rocked Peter Yan as well.
Yeah, fair play. You know, underrated. But it's one of those things. This fight, it would be interesting to see how he was against Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah.
What do you think about Aljamain Sterling? Do you hate him?
No, I like Aljo. A lot of people hate him.
Yeah. So you're not one of those then?
No, I think Aljo got a lot of hate for the way he handled the disqualification win against Peter Yan. But at the end of the day, I don't think it was as deep as people made out. No. He didn't want to take the belt. He went back and some people wanted to take photos of him and the belt on, and then it got blown out of proportion, and he played on it. That's just what happened in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you've got to respect him because he chatted so much rubbish in the lead up, knowing he could win against Peter Yan, and he comes out and beats him as a massive underdog. So, and at the time, I'm not a biased UFC fan, but at the time I was thinking there's nothing more I'd like for Aljo to come out and get a jammy little win against Peter Yan.
Yeah.
Gets the split decision, bit of a dodgy I think that the decision was right, but it was very close.
Yeah.
So yeah, it went perfectly for me, and it just made me like him more, to be honest. And when I first became a UFC fan, Aljo was one of the first fighters I really like grown towards because
Of course.
his style was just so interesting.
That's the thing though. He's got quite a bizarre style, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's he kind of you look at him. He's very much towering. I don't know how tall he is exactly.
He's so long, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think
Langard
he'd be like 5'10" at bantamweight or something.
Maybe. I feel like you look at him. He's just kind of a bit taller than everyone else.
He's only 5'6".
Really?
Yeah, apparently that's what it says on Google.
Okay.
But
doesn't feel like it.
that is mental to think he's 5'6", because his arms are longer than mine, and I'm 6'1".
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, he just kind of towers over everyone, and I feel like that's really beneficial for him when he fights. His stand up, it's okay. It's good. It's good. But it looks weird.
Yeah, it's awkward at times.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like it looks kind of not right, but it's really effective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of people who love the UFC, and people who also try and break it down and have their own podcast. But I know so many people that say Aljo's style doesn't look good, but at the end of the day, it just works. It just does work. Like, fighting as many elite people as he had and beating them, it just shows it works.
Clearly effective.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's ground game.
Yeah. His ground game is just the best grappler at bantamweight, definitely.
Yeah.
And obviously the way he submitted Corey Sanhagen, I think it was like 40 seconds in, just jumps on his back and squeezes his head off. It was beautiful. It was, honestly, that was one of I wasn't shocked that Aljo won, but I was shocked at just how he did it. Like, he just went and just dominated.
Sanhagen's a hard opponent as well.
Yeah, I mean, look at the fight with Peter Yan. Like, in my opinion, that was technically two fighters being as skilled as they were. That was one of the best fights ever. The way they were both so technical.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, just technique. TJ Dillashaw, what are your thoughts on as of right now?
So honestly, my thoughts personally are taken out the equation here because anyone who takes steroids, I have no respect for. But
I mean, as this fight
as a fighter, yeah, I think that's the question.
Okay.
I love TJ Dillashaw as a fighter. I remember when I was not a little kid, when I was like 13, 14 years old, the first fighters I started watching on YouTube were sort of TJ Dillashaw, even Aljamain Sterling and Anderson Silva. They were the sort of fighters who got me into the UFC, and the rivalry with Cody Garbrandt, it was kind of like TJ Dillashaw at that point was a good guy. And then obviously now he's the bad guy. Like, he's come back and he sort of owns it, doesn't he? So he doesn't mind being the heel. So in this fight, it's the only fighter that could have came back and made everyone want Aljamain Sterling to win. But skill for skill, I think if he comes back 70% of what he was, I think he can get the win in this fight. But the question is, with the time out now because of the injury, with the 2 years out previously, probably losing his last fight against Sanhagen, the judges thought differently. But I mean, that was one of the fights that I think unanimously, we can all just say Corey won that fight. Really, I haven't seen many people say they thought TJ Dillashaw won that fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see if his footwork still look very good, and I think that will cause Aljo a lot of problems. But I think he can win this fight. That's what I think about it.
So what's your prediction exactly?
My prediction. Oh man, it's hard, this one. I'm gonna go. I think Aljamain Sterling's gonna submit him.
Okay.
I don't know, but I just feel like TJ won't come back the same as he was, even against Sanhagen with a torn ACL, I think it was. Had knee surgery, and then I don't feel like I think he's almost 40 now as well, so.
Yeah, he would be.
What about you? How do you see this fight going?
So, it's going to be Aljamain Sterling either way.
Do you think?
I feel like so. Just time out, and I feel like Aljo is he's just going to be at that level above him.
Do you agree in the sense that if TJ comes back like he has been, that he wins this fight? I think he beats Aljamain Sterling if he comes back like a.
If he comes back in that way, I don't know if he wins the fight, but it goes either way.
It's a toss 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a guaranteed win because you can't look at Aljamain so for anything other than what he
that's
is.
true. Yeah.
So but I feel like with this bout in particular, I'm gonna have to go I'd say submission, either submission or maybe a decision, maybe. But I feel like submission's a lot more likely.
If it goes to the scorecards, I think TJ wins.
You reckon?
I actually do, yeah.
I don't know. I really don't because I feel like if it doesn't go to the scorecards, it's going to involve a lot of Aljo controlling on the ground, and I don't know how they're going to score that.
So do you think if TJ wins, he finishes Aljo?
I think it will have to be.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's going to be on the feet enough.
I feel like Aljo kind of gets tired as well, though, which is interesting. You don't want to be tired against TJ Dillashaw.
No, not at all. I mean, how do you think TJ's going to do though, cardio-wise?
I think he'll be alright.
You reckon?
I think he's probably still on something. Okay, I'll check.
Yeah, okay.
You see the recent Instagram photo?
I don't know.
It was crazy. I'm telling you.
Is he trolling?
No, it looks like if you could picture, like, just close your eyes and imagine someone who's taken something.
Does he look
It looks like that. Like every single vein in his body is popping out.
Maybe he's just worked out.
Yeah, maybe, but it's still a bit mental.
That's quite a big accusation.
No, I'm not saying he's on it. I can't find the photo, but it's crazy. I'll show you after the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
But so yeah, what you think? You're going with Aljo too. So.
Aljo 2, submission, second choice, decision.
Yeah.
But just because of the ground control. But that also depends on how the judge decides to score it.
And one thing that won't go away with age is TJ Dillashaw. He's got elite wrestling, so it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, Aljo, he's claimed himself that he's sort of the bantamweight Khabib, but I think his jiu-jitsu is stronger than his wrestling. But you can see how physically strong Aljo is. I mean, both of these guys look like something out like a bodybuilding magazine. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the shape that these guys are in.
I feel like though, do you think he'd be able to defend against his wrestling?
Early on, I think he definitely will. I think Aljo will just kind of frustrate him against the fence and kind of. Oh, I think TJ will. I think, like, how I see the fight going, I said Aljo submission. I think he just jumps and pulls guillotine. I think he just. TJ rushes in and I think he just wraps his neck up and jumps to his back. I don't think it'll be like a traditional takedown, takes his back, submits him. But it could be. But.
Here's the question for you. Do you think that TJ could defend against an Aljo takedown?
I think he can defend against the takedown, definitely.
So I don't know if he can. Single leg, double leg.
Yeah,
kind of.
I think he could.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if he could defend against the jiu-jitsu of Aljamain Sterling. No, that's a different question.
What a takedown from the clinch?
But yeah, I think that's where it'll be. It'll kind of be just jumping on something, but
that would be interesting.
You know how like Charlie Oliveira submitted Poirier, where he just jumped round to his back, didn't get the takedown, but he against the cage jumped on his back.
Yeah,
it could be that as well. Like he could take his back standing. But that's how I see this fight going. I think he'll submit him he'll get the submission in from the feet first, and then bring it to the ground from there. That's what I think. Obviously, it's a very precise call, but
maybe it'll be Sadiq Youssef-esque, and he'll just run at him and jump at him.
That'd be cool, but I don't see Aljo running at TJ Dillashaw. I mean, even though TJ's not prime TJ,
that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, no one wants to mess around with TJ Dillashaw.
The Vegas odds as well were disgusting.
What, for this fight?
No, for the Sadiq Youssef fight.
Oh, yeah, the guy was short there. I wonder what the odds are for this one. It's got to be like a pick-up, hasn't it? No way one can be a massive. I think Aljo will be the favourite, just.
We'll have to have a look afterwards. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's that on that one. Both going Aljo. I think if Prime TJ shows up, that would change our minds completely. That would be a very close call then, but yeah, we think that the age and the time off is going to affect him. So getting into the main event, very interesting fight here. For me, the most anticipated fight on the card, the one I'm looking forward to stylistically wise the most. So, we obviously Oliveira with the most submission wins in the UFC, and Islam Makhachev is like people say better Khabib, but I've actually studied the way he sort of wrestles against the cage, and he's not on the same level as Khabib wrestling wise, jiu-jitsu wise, definitely so, but. This fight is very interesting for me. Get into how you see it playing out.
So it's an interesting one really. I feel like with you look at Charles, his jiu-jitsu is just next level, world class. What is it like? Most submissions in UFC history?
I think it's 16 or 17
Yeah,
submissions.
so most submissions in UFC history.
Crazy.
It's mental, really.
Well, that might be finishes, but still, I know it's most submissions in UFC.
Yeah, no, it is. And he's still active as well, which says it all, really. It's
In
not like
his
he's
prime.
retired. Yeah. So he's got many more to come.
At least 5 more.
Well, it's insane to think about, though, really. Because, like, it's not like, he's going to have to pack it in, like, tomorrow. Like,
CTE could be a problem if he don't move his head a bit more.
Well, I mean, his head movement, though, like, it's not brilliant, but he's got a bit more head movement than some fighters.
Yeah, like Luke.
Yeah, well, that I feel like it's now become evident that he needs to learn to move his head.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he isn't going to be fighting much longer.
Yeah.
No, that's not nice.
Gaslam's head movement was good until there's you fight, and then.
Yeah. But, anyway, so with this fight, Makhachev, the power and just the accuracy and how clean he hits, if he's able to hit him clean enough, I'm sure Charles will drop. Saying that, though, I don't think Charles dropping is necessarily a bad thing for Charles. Now, Makhachev, his wrestling is good, and he's not quite Khabib.
No.
You can't. I don't feel that's quite a fair comparison. I feel like, though, with Makhachev, he's generally good all over, and you don't really see where he's striking from. He doesn't really telegraph any of it at all.
Yeah.
I've noticed he often throws like a right, or he feints a right, and then throws a massive left. And he's dropped like 2 or 3 of his opponents doing that, and then he just either mauls them or just does what he does on the ground. I would be really interested to see how Charles does on the ground. If he's able to if he's able to have Makhachev in his guard, I'll be interested to see how he copes with it. Obviously, Makhachev ground and pound is brutal. His just general pinning and stopping you from moving and giving you very limited range of movement is just like absolutely
crazy.
savage.
Yeah.
But saying that, it's Oliveira. So who knows? Maybe he just won't be able to move. Or maybe he'll be able to do some really impressive stuff. I feel like if Makhachev does get caught in that guard, that could be very dangerous for him. You look at a lot of Oliveira's submissions, triangles, arm bars, omoplatas, guillotines. He doesn't really submit from the back too often.
No, if you look at his fights, he's slipped off the back a lot of times. I mean, recently he submitted from the back, but in the past he slipped off Paul Felder's back multiple times, and I think Anthony Pettis is as well. So yeah, he doesn't look as good from the top position as he does the bottom, but it looks like even that's leveled up now because I think the last 2 people he's rear naked choked. So
he's getting better and better. But so I feel like with Oliveira, I feel like normally I'd say he'll be comfortable on the ground. But with Makhachev, I don't know if he will. Because unless he's in a position where he can tie Makhachev up on the ground, assuming that this goes to the ground, but I feel like
at some point it will.
It's going to have to, but it's not going to stay on the feet for very long. They
just got to do it for the fans as well at some point.
Yeah. I feel like when it does get to the ground, it'll be interesting to see how he does. His transitioning's fantastic, and you look at Oliveira. The majority of he's been submitted 3 times, which is quite mad to be fair.
Yeah.
Considering he's normally when he submits, but he's very vulnerable to that guillotine. Now I don't know if I could see him shooting for a takedown.
I think he could.
I think he could, but
he just don't care, does he? He'll do what he wants at the time.
But it's one of those things, though. Like, will he want it on the feet?
He will, but I think he wants to really I think he wants to submit him.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because I remember the Khabib quote where he was like, "We're going to come to Brazil. We're going to ride Charles Oliveira like a horse, and we're going to take his belt back to Russia." And he was like, if jiu-jitsu was called easy, it'd be called... No, if Sambo was easy, it'd be called Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I feel like Oliveira, you can see it's personal for him. Like, you watching that stare-off today, like, it was so intense. I feel like he really wants to get that submission win.
That would be very, very interesting to watch. As far as tournament one's concerned, Makhachev is fantastic. Oliveira is fantastic. Oliveira, I feel like a lot of people underestimate his work on the feet because obviously he's just so good at jiu-jitsu. A lot of people do just, kind of not forget about it, but don't really appreciate it for what it is. It's not the best in the lightweight division by no degree, but it's quite high quality.
Yeah.
It's really, it is elite standard.
I mean, he stopped Justin. He obviously got tagged by Justin too, how hard Justin hits, but he was winning the fight on the feet as well as the ground.
And that's the thing. And one of the things which is interesting about Oliveira is that you don't see what he's striking because he uses various different strikes all at different times. He's not just throwing straights and 1-2s, and he's not necessarily throwing together these mad combinations. I mean, he will at times, but for the most part, it might be something like a jab and a knee.
His front kicks as well.
His front kicks, his kicks in general. So he's generally very versatile on the feet. He doesn't mind getting close, which might be an issue, especially with Makhachev.
Yeah.
And I think that with this fight, I'm gonna have to go. I'm probably gonna go with Makhachev decision, which is but you can see why.
I think 100% as a finish either way.
But that's the issue is I just feel like it's because it's a finish either way.
Safe.
No.
Do you not?
No,
surely it's a finish.
I can't see it. I feel like it could go one or two ways. It could go one of four ways, really.
I'll tell you, I'm just going to slap this one down. Oliveira will submit him inside the first 2 rounds.
You reckon so?
I do. I think you can see how good Islam is, but he hasn't even fought anyone in the top 10. Like, he actually hasn't. He fought his last 2 fights, Bobby Green and Dan Hooker. Obviously, they were both short notice because his top 10 opponents did pull out. But at the same, not fighting anyone in the top 5, let alone top 10. How are you going to beat Oliveira? I'm done doubting Oliveira. That's just what I think.
I don't doubt him.
No.
I just feel like Makhachev's either going to pin him and Oliveira's not going to hold up and he's going to keep going for that sub. Or, I'm just going to go decision just because I think it's safe, really. I don't believe that Oliveira doesn't have it in him. I feel like Oliveira may potentially even be the better fighter. If he is the better fighter.
If Oliveira wins, he's going to finish him 100%.
But what I mean is, I just feel like Makhachev, he's going to have to try and dominate it.
Yeah, he's going to give no room on the ground.
And I feel like Child is just going to have to not necessarily take it, but I feel like it's going to play on the ground. I can just see this fight playing on the ground. I really can.
So
all of it.
Let's go on this main event. I don't know. I've been thinking about this fight for a couple months now, and until now, I spoke to one of our mates, and he kind of changed my mind on this fight. But until now, I was literally could not choose who was going to win. So if you had to give percentage-wise, what in your pick, what in the confidence of your pick, what percent would you give it?
What is it how confident I am of it?
Yeah, so 60%, I believe Makhachev will win. 55, sort of.
Well, it's a hard one, really. I'm gonna go. Oh, I'm gonna go 60.
Fair enough. That's confident.
Well, it is, but it's not. It's just maybe 55 to 60, because it's just tipping it over the edge, but it could go either way. Like I said, it could go 4 ways. I could go 25% even.
Yeah.
Could go 4 ways, but I'm gonna go 60 because I feel like it's gonna be a Makhachev win.
I
just don't know.
In my pick, I'm going 60.
60.
Yeah, I'm going with the same.
Quite feeling confident or confident then.
Well, the thing is, for so long this fight's been so close in my head. I'm not just gonna bet the house on Charles Oliveira, but at the same time, I think I just don't want to pick against him ever again because the only fight I have chosen Oliveira to win was the Justin Gaethje fight in this whole title run. I thought Chandler would beat him, I thought Poirier would beat him, I thought Kevin Lee would beat him, which is crazy at the time, but yeah, so I think Charles is going to be, I think Charles is going to be fighting Volkanovski, man, and I'm so excited. That's kind of why I picked Charles as well. In my head, I just want that fight so bad.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good.
Yeah, so obviously that's it on the breakdown of the card. Next week is our big fight for us UK fans. Calvin Kattar against Arnold Allen, which is massive. obviously Arnold could be the next sort of title challenger in the UK if he wins that fight. So yeah, can't wait to break that one down.
Should be a really good one.
Yeah, so thank you for listening. This has been the Combat Chatters podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube. We're on pretty much every platform at this point. So yeah, thanks for listening.
Cheers.